Hey, good morning, good evening, everybody. This is Sean Shankaran from Indian Overseas Congress. Today I'm here with Sam Pitroda on our 13th episode of Sense with Sam. Today we are going to have a very interesting global topic which is important for the times, which is inclusion. Be it caste census, be it SB403, be it affirmative actions. I think it's all about inclusion. Be it racism, casteism, Brahminism, all of this. So I think Sam is really a great fanatic supporter of bringing inclusion to the through political solutions. I think he has been championing a lot of things, and I think he is also one of the brain behind the Congress championing this caste census. So I will let Sam give a quick context, and then we'll go for questions. Thank you, Sam. Go ahead, Sam.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Priyambada and other friends. I know you have to work very hard to put this program together. So I sincerely appreciate your effort every week to bring people together. Today's topic on inclusion is of great interest and value to everybody because inclusion is a broad idea. To me, it has so many different dimensions. First, it begins with respect for other human being. It is about dignity. It is about equality, equity, access. It is about liberty, freedom, justice. As an individual, everybody wants to be treated equally. And when you begin to identify them in one group or the other based on race, religion, color, language, caste, we create barriers. In these barriers ultimately create conflicts. When I look at wars, I find that it is all about exclusion, which is opposite to inclusion. Saying you are excluding group of people from some privileges, some their rights. Colonization was all about inclusion. Subjects were not included, not given the same rights. Slavery is all about inclusion. They were not included. They were not allowed to vote. They were not allowed to go to school. They were not allowed to go to the same bathroom. So I think there is a very large global challenge. In India, it is about caste. In US, it is about Black Lives Matter. In Europe, it may be about immigration. You go to Paris and you see ghettos outside Paris of Arabs. And you understand it immediately that these group of people are not included. The discrimination starts many times right at the family level. In our system, marriages are not inclusive. People expect you to marry in the same caste, same state, same language, same religion, same race. It just doesn't make sense in 21st century. Marriage is about union of two people. They could come from whatever background they want. It is their freedom which we interfere in. So I think inclusion is about gender equality as well. Inclusion is about how do we treat people working with us at office, at home. When you call somebody a servant, that itself, to me, is demeaning. home help would be better, but we treat them like servants and drivers and many others. And this is where the conflict begins. So in India, we really don't know at this stage what is the distribution of caste, because we have Dalits. Some of those are not allowed to even enter temples. They are not allowed to drink water from the same well. In this day and age, in 21st century, they can't marry in upper caste. Then you have minorities, Muslims, Christians, you have tribals, you have, OBCs. So naturally, a starting point is all about understanding this diversity. We don't know how many people are in what category. One thing is to say, forget about all these categories and treat everybody equal, but that doesn't happen. The key is to really understand the data and give them the opportunities. People are talking about bhagidari. What it really means, if that Dalits are X%, they should be represented at various levels accordingly in education, health, government, public service, business, you name it. If they are not represented according to their bhagidari, according to their data, then they are discriminated. That's all there is to it. Okay? We can slice and dice in any way we want. The fact still remains that world over, people in position, power, and people who corner profit are from higher caste, are from a special privileged class. And it is true everywhere, not just in India. So democracy is all about equality, human rights, justice, fairness. And that's why inclusion becomes very, very important. And none of these countries are inclusive. India is not inclusive because of caste system. US is not inclusive because of Black Lives Matter. And we see the difference. And difference is very, very visible. I always say that I have lived in Chicago for almost 60 years, and I have yet to see the difference between north side of Chicago and south side of Chicago. No difference at all in terms of what has been the case. I mean, it hasn't improved. South side of Chicago is poor, uneducated, conflict, violence, you name it. There is no reason for that exclusion. So today we will be talking more about inclusion from different viewpoints. So with this background, I would say each one of us need to be conscious of inclusive society. And it begins with our friendship. It begins with marriages, family makeup. It is time to analyze our own friends and see, is that group inclusive? Do we have Dalit friends, tribal friends, OBC friends, Muslim friends, Christian friends, Hindu friends, whatever? I think if we focus on inclusion, our own life would be richer, more meaningful, and more enjoyable. Thank you. We can
Thank
open
you,
up
Sam.
for a broader conversation because I don't want to spend too much time in
Sure.
lecturing.
Sounds good, Sam. That's awesome. So, Priyamada, you have any questions from IWC, from the X space?
Not at the moment, but Sir, can you just throw a light on, like in India, the caste is actually related to votes, So that's the reason I think that's the main hindrance, because why we are not able to think about those who are unfortunate, those who are deprived of the, what we say as equal rights and equality, equal resources in the society. I think, do you think this is the main problem, that because politicians always think about caste being like, oh, how much votes I have from this community, because India votes in a different way. So do you think?
I don't think so. I don't think caste is just vote. Caste is all about how you treat other human being. Vote comes way later. Okay. Caste is about identifying you based on your birth. I'm son of a carpenter. I'm proud son of a carpenter. But I belong to a group called Vishwakarma. Now, if Vishwakarma people all remain together all the time, and they also are not inclusive, then people look at that as a voting bloc. So during election, people look at caste as a voting bloc. First time voter is a voting bloc. Women is a voting bloc. Okay. Businessman is a voting bloc. So I think they look at caste as one of the voting blocks. But caste goes way beyond election. Election comes once every 5 years. Caste appears in every walk of life, right from the time you get up in the morning, go to work, interact with people in bazaar or in schools, colleges, or your friend circle. It's all about how you are divided in caste. Who do you interact with? So I think caste and inclusion is a much deeper idea than just vote. Why should I be classified as OBC? I object to the idea of OBC, other backward class. What do you mean by backward class? How dare you call somebody a backward class? But that's what we do. By calling them backward class, you're putting them in a special box. You're not calling them artisan. You're not calling them creative people. You're calling them backward caste. And it is nationally acceptable. It is acceptable by everybody that you are a backward class. Come on. And then you expect those people to have pride? So I think there are fundamental issues in caste system. It is not just about census. It is not just about counting and say, okay, 70% of the people are OBC, Dalits, minorities and others, or whatever the number is, 80%, 90%. Okay. The question is, how do we treat them? What opportunities we give them? Are you really creating level playing field for them, or we are excluding them from main opportunities? And that has been going on for ages. Okay. Hundreds and hundreds of years. Maybe after independence, we didn't pay much attention to it the way we should have. But people like me are an example that India provided opportunities to lower caste people as well. Okay. And there are millions like me, but that's not enough. Okay. We need more. How did I get an opportunity? Because I focused on education. Education was almost free. My college tuition for 5-6 years of master's in physics was almost $10 total. That's not the case anymore. Today, if I had to get a master's in physics from a reputed college or university, it will cost a lot of money. And if I'm poor, I may not be able to afford. So I think caste is much deeper. Segregation has been a way of life. Look at what happened in South Africa. I remember one of my colleagues went to South Africa in 1980s for some work. Indian guy. He was a CEO of a small company I used to own. And he took with him a white man as his assistant. And they wouldn't allow Indian guy to get in the hotel. I mean, this was the CEO. Said, no, you are a colored, you can't stay in the same hotel, but this John can stay. Okay. How would you feel if someone treated you like that? Okay. And it happens everywhere. I mean, it happened to me also once in Israel. I had gone to Palestine, and the uh, immigration leaving Israel, they asked me, where were you? And I said, I was at um, Palestine. Doing what? Advising them on their telecom. And just alarm bell rang, and all kinds of security people came and talked to me and this and that. And when I gave them my card, which said Chairman Voltel, they were surprised that this, dark-looking guy is a chairman of a bank in London. So it's inbuilt at times. They may not mean it, but it just happens. Okay. These are prejudices. Okay. And we all go through it in one way or the other in life. So we have to really essentially have to be colorblind on one case, caste blind on the other case, and go right to the humanity, saying what kind of a person is he? So it depends. It's a deeper concept than vote.
Thank you, sir.
Sam, Congress has been in power for quite a long time, so maybe more than 6-7 decades since independence, and it took a non-Congress prime minister to bring a lot of reforms like Mandal Commission, etc. I think even though there was Congress support, I think the huge reforms on this caste-related or reservation-related things came from outside the Congress world. Now, why Congress is championing caste census? Did we guys miss the boat and we realized that, or what exactly? Why are we championing caste census?
I think Rahul realizes, and we had a lot of conversations on it. I remember 10 years ago, Rahul started talking about the fact that Sam Pitroda is a carpenter's son. Then even my own family said, why is he mentioning this? The message he was giving is that we need to give more opportunities to people from lower caste. The message he was giving that the telecom revolution didn't come from Brahmin, didn't come from higher caste. It came from OBC. Going back to your question, maybe Congress should have done much more in the past. Maybe we didn't do as well as we should have. But that doesn't allow us, or that doesn't stop us from doing the right thing now. You're never too late to do the right things. I believe this is the right thing to do at this point in time. Of course, during Congress time, a lot of people got, opportunities because of low-cost education. Education has become too expensive. That is more of a reason today than anything else I can think of. In my generation, to go to good college didn't cost anything. Today, it is very expensive. So I think Congress did much more than people give them credit for in terms of opening education for a large number of lower caste people at very little cost. Build more universities, build IITs, IIMs, all the institutions. So I think first 5-6 decades were really spent on building institutions in a big way. Okay. And institution building takes time. You don't have human resource to build a lot of these institutions in the beginning. I always give example of IIT Kharagpur. When IIT Kharagpur was started, people used to laugh and say, why would anybody build an IIT in middle of nowhere in Kharagpur? Why not in Calcutta? And it was in 3-4 rooms. And people used to laugh and say, are you crazy to build a university like this in a place called Kharagpur where nobody will go? But look at what IIT Kharagpur is today after 50, 60 years. That's what it takes to build institutions. So I think we have a lot of work ahead of us in providing equal opportunities. And the right thing to do at this point in time is to really have data. And that's why census. Once we have census, we will know that these are the gaps. This is where we need to put more focus. Then we can analyze, monitor, manage. So that's a starting point.
Awesome, Sam. So you always speak about a lot about Brahminism. So is Brahminism is nothing but a kind of another word of casteism? So are you against Brahmins, one particular caste, or
No, I'm
what
not
is that?
against anybody. Let's
Yeah.
understand. I'm not against anybody or anything. When I say something A, it doesn't mean I'm against B. Okay, in India, it is that mentality that if I say A, that means I'm against B. No, that is not true. I am inclusive in my approach to everything. I try. I may not be successful. You can correct me, and I learn. Brahminism, to me, is a group of people, a system that we created over a period of time, where these people are the knowledge people. They had the wisdom, so called, and they remain in position of power, advisors to the kings or whatever. They studied slokas, and I'm not very good at history, so pardon me for saying all these things. But their job is to advise and not do things. And people who did things were lower caste, whether it is sweeping floor or tightening a screw or carving a statue. That was work, hard work. Okay. So-called Brahmins never took tool in their hand to do anything. That's the way it turned out to be. It's okay. Now let's see how we manage this tradition. 40 years ago, when I used to work on technology missions, I used to say, in India, there is a Brahminian science and there is Sudra science. Brahminian science is to talk about a great theoretical paper and go give a presentation at international conference and make an impact, which is fine. But Sudra science is to make sure that the electric plug that we make fits in properly. In my generation, electric plug in India would never fit in the socket. You have to put a little matchbox stick and then it'll wiggle. Okay. Because it was not done by people with knowledge. Okay. I mean, even today, look at the way our scavengers have to work. Shame on a high-tech country like India, where we have not developed robots or scavengers to clean our gutters so they don't have to go manually and clean it. We have not developed tools for our lower level people. Most of our tools were designed hundreds of years ago, whether it is hammer or drill or chisel or whatever. Okay. I mean, just go look at a construction site today. It could be a very fancy construction site, and I've seen it in Delhi, during Asiad Village. I've seen it in Delhi during, Commonwealth Games. You find poor women carrying on their head 20 bricks. Why can't we give them hand truck? We don't do that. I don't know why. Why do we allow these women to carry bricks on their head? Because nobody is paying attention to that. It's not that we are not capable, but that's not in the equation and consciousness of people. They think it has to be like that anyway. At every construction site, you will see on the side little hut, little tent where people would be cooking, their children would be playing. I mean, why can't that construction site people make little better accommodation for workers? Because those apartments are going to sell for 50 lakhs, 1 crore. Okay. These poor people are building those apartments. But while building those apartments, they don't even have enough to eat. The children don't have toys to play with. Okay. It's not that we can't do it. We just don't have the sensitivity. When I was chairman Telecom Commission, at that point in time, a lot of people from Kashmir, Brahmins, were coming back because of all the terror and all. And we had large number of people coming from telecom group. And I realized that a lot of our workers all of a sudden had too much to do. Okay. So one of the things I did as a chairman Telecom Commission is to call a meeting of all the sweeping people and ask them to come to the board. They were all frightened that they have never been invited to the boardroom. So when I entered the room, they were all stuck to the wall. They were shocked that there's going to be some strange news. So I asked them to sit in the chair. And they were afraid to sit in the chair because chairman of a telecom never asked them to sit in boardroom's chair. They clean every day. Then we ordered tea and biscuits, and they were completely puzzled, saying, what's going on here? So then I said, look, tell me what you need to clean this place better, because we have a lot of traffic and our cleanliness is not right. So I said, I'm going to send a group to Taj Mahal Hotel and group to Sheraton, look at all their cleaning equipment, come back, and we'll give you better tools to clean. I said, I don't need a bathroom for chairman, because you keep chairman's bathroom clean, the rest of the bathrooms are not clean. So here is your key to the chairman's bathroom. I will use regular bathroom. That was inclusion. And I didn't have to think. It just came to me because I was concerned. So I think it is something that we all have to practice more so than preach. I can give you hundreds of examples like this. Your driver, when he comes on a trip with you, you have to make sure that he eats with you and not by himself. Okay. That's equality. That's respect. That's normal thing to do. It is nothing abnormal about it. Okay.
I think in the past you have spoke about the word called naukar. I think you have shared a bunch of thoughts. I want the audience to hear about it.
I think a friend of mine mentioned this to me some time ago. Again, it has been on my mind, but he sort of brought it into focus. That naukar has to be out of our dictionary. Okay. How could somebody be your naukar? Servant. He's a helper. Okay. He's home help. By calling him naukar, you are demeaning his job. Okay. And the way we treat them is obscene. I mean, look at all these slums in big cities. All the slums in big cities have to do with the fact that they work for bosses living in an apartment worth crore and lakhs and lakhs. And none of these bosses take care of people working for them in terms of where are you living? How is your living condition? Okay. They, in fact, try to negotiate their salary by 50 rupees less. Okay. So it's an attitude. Okay. Again, a personal example, when my wife and I lived in Delhi, working with Rajiv Gandhi, we would invariably go in the back where all our home help lived, talk to the children, make sure that they have books and pens and pencils and all, make sure that we check with them how are you doing in school and all. And it was like our own family. Okay. And that didn't require anything special or any instruction from anybody. It had to come from within. Yeah.
The empathy thing is what is missing. So
Yeah.
I
I
want
don't know how you teach people this.
I want to circle back on the Brahmanism. So I think you are saying that you are against the theory of that the birth supremacy theory. Otherwise, you are not against one particular sect of people.
I'm
You
not against anybody.
Quality, equality.
I'm not against anybody. And if I criticize somebody, that also doesn't mean I'm against. This is another thing. I'm told recently Prime Minister of India spoke in the parliament about me without naming me because I retweeted a tweet by a friend of mine, Kulkarni, who was advisor to Bajpayee, a man I respect, Bajpayee as well as Kulkarni. And I liked his tweet. Not that I agreed or disagreed, but I thought it deserves wider circulation, so I retweeted it. Prime Minister of India had to mention this in the parliament, that this man who lives in foreign country and friends of a family is against Ambedkar. I mean, what a lie. Okay, but these things happen in our system. I'm not against anybody, please. And I want to emphasize that over and over again. I'm not against, Prime Minister. I may be against his policy. These are two separate issues. Okay, I may not like your idea. That doesn't mean I don't like you.
On that note, Sam, what do you think about Ambedkar, Dr. Ambedkar, who has been the face of equality in
Well,
India?
he wrote the Constitution. He was a bright man with the right opportunity at the right time. He was part of a very distinguished group of people during independence movement. And we all recognize his contribution. We respect him and we love him and we, adore him. Okay. And same goes for Nehru, same goes for Vallabhbhai Patel, same goes for Gandhiji, same goes for Rabindranath Tagore, Sarojini Naidu, Netaji Bose. Of course. These were different kinds of people. Okay.
Sam, there has been always talk about this Dravidian model, which a lot of the South Indian states, at least there many of the development indices, be it the gross enrollment ratio with respect to education, or many other, even the GDP contribution ratio, etc. I think they have gone leap and forth ahead compared to many of the other states in the country. So, what do you think? Maybe the playbook behind this, some of this Dravidian model growth. I think we are being told that inclusion is one of the underpinning strategy. So, what do you think? Do you believe that, or what are your thoughts?
I think let's first understand that world over, we tend to divide people based on color first. Okay? But we forget that all of us came from Africa. We forget that we all have roots in Africa. Whether people settled in South India and became Dravidian and say that we own India, but ultimately, everyone came from Africa. So we must recognize that first. Okay. Then people who settled, whether in America, original Indians, or in South India, so-called original Indians, or in Australia, Latin America, they all lived off the land. Then foreigners came, so-called foreigners. People say Columbus found America. No, America was already there. How could you find somebody which was already there? There were Red Indians. They're living there for thousands of years. But these people came and then acquired land and became owner. So that fight has been going on in human history for a long time. So in India, maybe the Africans who early came and settled in South became local because they lived off the local land. And they had better understanding of their ecosystem. South India has been much more progressive in terms of language. Look at Tamil. Okay. Look at all the mathematicians as an example, scientists, okay, literature. So each one has its own unique capabilities. South India is unique. North Indian settlement is probably much earlier, much later. But the South Indian population was considered the local population. Okay. So it's like Manthan. Transformation has been going on all the time. Whether French came, British came, Spanish came, Portuguese came, Mughals came, and that's way of life. Okay. We today look at them as invaders, but then we were also invaders. People coming from Africa were also invaders. Okay. So you got to decide, where do you draw a line? And that's why it is important to be inclusive. The world belongs to everybody. Okay. You have a right to move. You have a right to live the way you want to live. And that's why democracy, that's why freedom, justice, all of these things are connected. Okay. And we wind up discussing petty issues. When we discuss the issue of religion today, we forget that before Hinduism, there were people who were tribals. What was their religion? They were original people. How did they become Hindu? Okay. How did they become Muslims? How did they become Christians? Okay. So at the end of the day, we are all human beings. And that's where we lose sight of humanity. Okay.
Yes. That's a question from YouTube, Sumant Hegde. So, dear sir, this government is a pro-privatization of public sector, but there is no reservation in private sector. How caste census can be helpful to ensure jobs?
No, census will be helpful to us in understanding the inequality a little better. Census will tell us that enough of these people are not represented, whether they are tribals, Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, or Dalits, OBC, or whatever. We want to make sure that they get equal opportunities, whether it's in private sector or public sectors. Reservation is one way of doing it, not the only way of doing it. Some cases reservation will work, some cases reservation will not work. Okay. So in some cases, you will have to probably emphasize more qualification, okay, capabilities. So it will depend. And in the process, you will make some mistakes. Nothing is going to be perfect. But the path has to be that we want more representation from our diversity. We cannot allow small group of people to corner off all the national resources and have power in the hands of few. Power, decision making, and financial resource has to be distributed. And it can also be done hand in hand with decentralization. Let me give you my view on GST, for example, today. And I'm not an expert, so verify what I say. Today, GST is collected by central government, then distributed to state, and they in turn distribute to district. So one who has financial power calls the shot. Okay. We saw a few weeks ago southern states going to Delhi saying we are not getting our share of the GST revenue. In reality, it should be exactly opposite. If I had an option, I would put on the table GST to be collected by district. Each district should collect their GST. From there, they can give money to state for the state function, and state can give money to central for the central functions. That is the level of decentralization we need. Then every district will have enough money, their own funds, to decide what needs to be done. Today, it is completely authoritarian. Okay, financial systems are completely top down, and it's not good for a democracy in the long run. But people with expertise in finance and economy will have to look at this and see the viability of it.
So there's a question from Twitter. Savage, could you unmute and ask your question?
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. Sam, thanks for everything that you have done for India as well as the Congress Party. My question is, caste census as a agenda, is that going to be part of INC's election manifesto or India's manifesto? And my subsequent question to that was, like the way it happened last election with Nyay, which was a very good scheme. But there was a lot of Congress was not very successful in explaining the scheme to the people. So, what is our plan to take it to the people and explain it to them? Thank you.
Rahul Gandhi has been talking about this all along during his yatra. He has very clearly articulated the need for census, concern for lower caste, concern for poverty. It will be in the manifesto. Chidambaram and others are looking at it, and I'm sure manifesto will include issues related to caste and census and equality and inclusion. But Rahul has been talking at length on these issues all along. We don't get the media coverage because the media is sort of control, unfortunately. That's okay. There isn't much we can do today on it, except talk to friends and others on social media and door-to-door campaign in our normal conversations, because national media is not going to take our views on inclusion seriously. I won't get this chance to talk about inclusion on national media. Even if I get it, it'll be attacked by anchor people with all kinds of biases of their own. And fine, I leave it there. I don't want to argue with them. I don't want to discuss details, but that's my view.
Sam, just to, it's maybe a quirky fact which we want to know. So I think in the Congress world, I think you are the one big champion on inclusion. Are you behind the mind share of Rahul Gandhi and the Congress party on
No,
getting the
I don't
word
think so.
inclusion?
I don't think I'm behind anything. It's a party where we talk openly, we discuss sometimes, and we have an agreement on some of these larger issues. Okay. Sometimes many people ask me saying, why are you so openly congressman? I said, because Congress gave me the opportunity. Congress gave me education for $10 to get a master's. Congress allowed me to, work on my dream on telecom and IT. And that's because Rajiv Gandhi had the political will to support me. And look at that one little idea we had, which says, we want India in 21st century to enter with great deal of respect, dignity, and we want to connect India. We want to focus on technology, telecom, IT. Look at where we are today just because of that one idea of Congress. People don't realize that we planted the seeds to create millions and millions of jobs for poor people, to go abroad, make enough money, send millions and millions or billions back home. Okay. Build our own companies, which are hundreds of billions of dollars worth. Okay. It took 40 years. People don't remember how it got done, which is fine. We don't need credit. Okay. But the fact is, if Congress had not done that, if an OBC guy wouldn't have come back from America, not that it wouldn't have been done, it would have been delayed. And it wouldn't have been done the way we did it, with focus on human capacity. See, anybody else would have built a factory, imported technology, but not build human capacity. We went to the very fundamental issue, building human capacity. And that's where India is today. Without that, India will not be where India is today. Let's accept it.
Maybe we didn't sell enough, Sam. I think somebody was mentioning yesterday that Shatabdi Express was introduced many decades ago as a fastest train and connected many cities. And we didn't sell enough. Now that
it's not that. It's not that. We were not interested in publicity.
Selling, yeah.
See, a lot of people tell me, why don't you just, publicize? I said, my job is not to publicize. Then I'll be busy publicizing and not do the job. My job is to do the job. And if people want to publicize, fine. If people don't want to publicize, that's also fine. My work must speak for myself. Today, work does not speak. So you have to have media speak for you. Okay, because there's nothing to speak from work.
Sam, one interesting aspect, the alliance name is Indian National Developmental Inclusive Alliance. I think how you are able to, Congress was able to sell this concept of inclusion to the entire set of other parties.
Because I think a lot of these other parties also believe in inclusion, because it goes hand in hand with democracy, freedom, justice, equality, equity. They all go hand in hand. Okay. The opposite side. Hold on. Isha has some.
Yeah, Isha is asking about from Twitter, asking about intercaste individuals. How do you suggest they report their caste in the event of a caste census?
For intercaste individuals, well, intercaste individuals should be proud of the fact that they belong to both. Okay. They should be very proud. Okay. Why belong to one? That's inclusion. Okay. This whole business of caste in marriage is a big issue. Why should you be restricted to marry, the person you want to marry? That's what freedom is all about. Okay. Doesn't matter what my religion is, I don't care. But that's my view.
I think there is a question from Bhupendra from YouTube. Do you think that if caste census conducted in India, that Bahujan community will be able to get their rights as per their population, which is a good percentage? Because many Manuvadi people in Congress ideology oppose Rahul Gandhi's ideology on the ground.
Look, in India, no matter what you do, there'll be people who will oppose something, which is okay. That's what inclusion is all about. Let them oppose. But you got to stand for something. And Congress party has decided to stand for census, stand for OBC, Dalits, minorities, poor. That's what India's development is all about. India's development is not about creating more billionaires. Please understand. India's development is not about sending more people to World Economic Forum, okay, or have big market caps. That's not the goal. Okay, that's a trap. Well-being of people of India depends on how well we take care of people at the bottom of the economic pyramid. Gandhiji talked about this all the time. Okay.
On SB403, Sam, the so-called Liberal Party.
What is this? What is SB403? I don't even know.
SB403 is the caste ban regulation, which I think California state tried launching, and it went up to the governor, and then it got maybe vetoed out. I think it got.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about in India. Sorry.
No, I'm kind of wanting to know your perspective. So there is a huge Hindutva lobby worked against this particular caste ban regulation in America, which is California. So I think the whole regulation came in place because at least California as a forward-looking state thought there is still caste. Indians have exported caste along with them, is what the state feels, and many of the state members could get it as a regulation, and they wanted to ban caste discrimination, but somehow it got vetoed by the governor of the state, and because there is a huge Hindutva lobby. So, what are your thoughts?
I mean, caste should be banned, period. Okay, don't ask me what my caste is. I don't care. Okay, my caste is humanity. That's my caste. Okay, I was born in India, so I have gene from that part of the world, but I'm a human being. Okay, I belong to every place. Okay, I'm telling you, that's how I feel. When I'm in America, I'm American. When I'm in Africa, I'm an African. When I'm in Russia, I'm Russian. Okay, so what's the problem? Okay, don't label me as anything. I'm a human being first.
Yeah. Sounds good, Sam. So I have
sorry, there's a Mr. Ambati. I think he left. He was waiting for a long time. He had a question. So there is a comment saying that playing caste card doesn't work at all. It is better if Congress brings the rich and the middle class narrative instead of caste.
Well, that's your view, and fine. I respect your view, but I don't agree with it.
Quickly,
people many times say that there are two castes, and Prime Minister also said once that rich and poor.
Yeah.
But that's not true, because poor people cannot marry poor people from higher caste. It's that simple. Okay? Cannot socialize. Do all poor people socialize as poor people? No. They socialize at caste, marriage, functions, events, festivals. Okay? That's what defines caste. Okay? And poverty is something you can change. Caste something you can't change. If you have money, then you are no longer poor. Okay.
So, like being in the government, like you had worked with the government for quite some long years. So, what do you think is the way forward for India to, break through this and, so that everyone is included and everyone gets equal rights and the resources which are.
Inclusion. You have to be included in the system. Okay. System has to be more open to bring variety of people in the mainstream. System has to promote people from lower caste, train them, trust them, build them, give them responsibility. Okay. And it has to start from bottom.
As we are coming close to the time, Sam, I want to have Ahmad Bilal from India ask a question about Hasbara. Hasbara, I think Ahmad has been researching a lot, and it's one of the propaganda strategy used by Israel in the name of anti-Semitism to even cover up some of their humanitarian issues. So I think Bilal believes that Hindutva lobby is taking the leaves from their playbook of Hasbara now. So I will let Bilal kind of talk a minute quickly and then ask you a question on that. Go ahead, Bilal.
Okay, you may have to educate me, Ahmad.
Yeah, sir. Hi, nice to meet you. First of all, it's have been a very great experience hearing you out. Sir, Hasbara is basically their IT cell in a layman's word, and it's like an official acceptance from them what it is, and they even have a manual for it because the world is seeing in the last 4 months what's happening in Palestine, and a lot of news come out of these kind of situations should be observed very carefully because in other times you can hide things, but in these kind of times a lot of things come out of the box. So one of the journalists that I follow on Twitter, she's a very well-known journalist. She highlighted a very special technique which is called Darvo attacks. So it's a simple strategy of taking over the conversation whenever there is a conversation. It is a short form for denial, attack, reverse, victim, offender. So it's a very simple concept if once you understand it. First, they deny. They say that a so and so thing has not happened. We haven't done it, and it's not possible for us to do it. Right. The second thing is they attack. No, they attack the person. Like, what about this? What about that? What aboutism that is very relevant in India. And the third thing is they change the roles of the victim and the offender. So they now say that the offender is the victim now, and the victim is now the offender. Like you can see in India at this moment that a lot of things are happening to the Muslim community and all the other minorities as well, Christians as well, especially in Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh. And they somehow say that the majority community is being attacked or something, which is entirely untrue. So I noticed a pattern. You may have also seen it that in the recent years that even many people in Israel were very surprised with how much of the BGB IT cell and other people were eager to comment on their issues on Twitter as well. So I saw a pattern that they might have, which leads me to believe that they might have been, behind the sudden rise of the BGP IT cell. It's a long conversation. It's not suitable for this kind of format, but I would want to take.
Yeah, the reason I wanted to bring that up here, Bilal, I think I want Sam has been talking with us on misinformation, disinformation, many of the things what the Hindutva world is using globally, not only in India.
There are a lot of similarities. There are a lot of similarities. You would be surprised at how many similarities are there. The techniques are almost the same, and it's.
But let me tell you, Bilal, this is not a rocket science. Okay, if you decide to lie and attack somebody, you don't need brains. You need ruthless approach. Okay. I mean, you can attack me for 50 zillion things. Make it up. It could be my hairstyle, it could be my family, it could be my childhood, you name it. But at the end of the day, what really matters is truth. People will have to learn to find their own truth. If people listen to all kinds of garbage, there'll be more garbage to sell. Okay. I mean, I don't pay attention to any of these things. Okay. I have my own filter.
Yes, sir.
My filter is more about truth, trust, love, democracy, equality, justice, inclusion, diversity. I have my filters. Then I know that this guy is biased or that news is biased. Who is giving me the news? Why are they giving me this news? What is their angle? It could be a company trying to promote a product. It could be a person trying to promote him or her interests. It could be a group trying to promote their group objectives. It could be a nation. I'm intelligent enough to sort it out.
Yeah.
Okay. Not that I'm right 100% of the time. Don't get me wrong. But I have my own filter. Each one of us will have to learn to find our own truth. This is the key to information age, because there is too much of misinformation going on. Attacks because of vested interest. Okay, it's like people selling product, telling you that, oh, it will do this and it will do that, hair growth is a classical example. You use my little recipe and your hair will glow like, wildfire. Nothing happens.
Yes.
You find that out after spending $50.
And there is a word being used for it.
Exactly. So then you will have this somebody, with qualified saying, yes, I, swear that this works. It's all bogus.
Yeah. I'm saying, sir, that there is a word for it, in fact, being used, that it's called disproportionate media coverage.
Yeah. So we have to decide, why do we spend time on it? Okay, I don't even look at it. You got to learn to reject information. Okay. If you get trapped in it, it's your problem. Okay, you are to be blamed, nobody else. Don't blame the guy who generated information. He's going to generate anyway. Okay. But if he has no taker, he will stop generating. Today he generates because there are a lot of takers for misinformation. If there is a system where you know that nobody is using misinformation, there won't be production of misinformation. Okay. Today there is production of misinformation because people love misinformation. Okay. So that is the beauty of information age. You are empowering every human being. But we are going through that transition. Every human being is not quite empowered yet. So there is a confusion. This period may last 5 years, may last 10 years in human history. 100 years from now, somebody would say that from 2000 to 2040, there is a big wave of misinformation in the world because people were just going through that transition. And after 2040, people realize how to find their own truth. It may happen.
So I see a lot of similarities in the Indian freedom movement. That it's obvious that Britishers used to have a disinformation.
Same thing. It has been going on for.
And then the freedom fighters created their own newspaper, Punjab Kesari. For example.
Absolutely.
We are seeing that same thing happening right now. Like the TV media just died down, and now there are independent, media houses like News Laundry, Wire. They came up very recently, in very recent years. So they are doing a very terrific job in just, being factual, being impartial, and, just informing the citizens of this country about the facts of any important issue.
Truth will prevail. Look at the amount of money BJP has spent in promoting Rahul as the puppet. He's not. I know him too well. He's very intelligent, he's a very capable, decent human being. Now you can say, well, I'm promoting him. No, I'm not promoting him. Okay. Truth will come out. Okay.
Thank you.
But
Thank
people
you,
have
Rahul.
ideas about Rahul without meeting him, based on all the stuff that, has been fabricated and manufactured. Okay. I mean, there are lies after lies. I remember recently, maybe 6 months ago or so, he and I had somewhere, we were there together, and somebody took a picture of it. And Rahul glass, which was water, was colored yellow as if it was scotch. Look at the way people operate. Okay. So now we are showing that Sam and Rahul are having scotch. Okay. Poor guy doesn't even drink. Okay. But this is that people believe it. Okay. Of course, I drink scotch. I have no problem. But they fabricate information. Anyway, I think we have talked enough. I
Thank
hope
you.
this
Sir.
was a good
Great
conversation. Anything else?
Sir,
Yeah,
there's
yes,
one
sir.
question from
Yes.
Maya Menon.
Yes.
Maya, please could you unmute and ask?
Priyamata, we want to launch.
Yeah, but let's finish Maya.
Just
Maya?
one, because she's waiting. Yeah.
Thank you, Priyamvada, and hello, sir. Good morning. Good to hear your views.
Thank you.
On this matter. I will just try to summarize very quickly my questions that I had. Firstly, kudos to Rahul Gandhi. He has picked up this caste census issue, putting social inclusion and social injustice at the heart of the agenda for the future, which I really think answers the question of representation versus reservation. So I think I really thank him for that. But I also applaud your views of prioritizing humanity over a successful abolishment of the caste system, which is so intrinsically woven into the Indian societal context that, it almost seems like a taboo in these days that we still have to address something like this. But I really think from what announcements Congress has made around the caste census, I wish, how, this is the three-part question that I have as to whether a roadmap of what this means from a long term, as opposed to just conveying the short-term agenda for caste census, and a roadmap for the long-term vision of a successful abolishment of caste system, if indeed that is the agenda, would allay any fears that people have. Because then there are three questions that I feel, I need answers to. Firstly, what are the legislative reforms that you propose as a political party to dismantle the institutionalized aspects of the caste system? The second one that roadmap should be talking about is how do you plan to address the deeply ingrained societal attitudes and prejudices that we see perpetuating in the name of caste discrimination? And finally, what are the educational reforms that we need that are necessary to promote equality and social inclusion across all castes, so that we can banish this once and forever, just not the starting point of caste census but from a long-term point of view. I hope you understand what I'm trying to convey here.
Thank you. No, thank you for your questions. These are important questions. First, we need census. Then I agree with you that we need to put together a team of lawyers as part of a working group after the census data to tell us what are the reforms that we need to really provide equal opportunities, inclusion, fair representation, and all that. That team of lawyers will have to tell us what needs to be done. I can't answer that question, but I'm sure we'll set up a team to look at that. Second, the real goal is to make sure that in every walk of life, whether it is judges, doctors, engineers, IAS officers, vice chancellors, or whatever, there is fair representation which begins with gender equality as well, not just the caste. Okay. We want more women to be in the mainstream. We want more OBC, minorities, Dalits, tribals, and others. And third, on education, you can go look at the document that we did 10 years ago of the National Knowledge Commission. That document outlines very clearly what our views are on that document clearly outlines what our views are on fair education opportunities for creating equality. Okay. So those three questions. One, first we need census data. Then we need to set up a legal team that will say these are the laws that we need to change, modify. Then we need to really make sure that we focus on providing that equal opportunity so that numbers are increased. And third, education is a very important piece of the puzzle. And in the process, there'll be some reservation, there'll be some conflict. People would say, oh, you're making too much reservation for, lower level people. This is going to reduce quality and all that will happen. That's part of the game. Okay.
Sam, sir, I would definitely encourage.
Maybe we will continue the conversation as we are. Hey,
hold on, Sean, hold on for a second. Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead, you are saying something.
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to say that I would really request you guys to convey this as a part of your narrative. And just not about the caste census, but the long-term roadmap as well. So, because there are some naysayers. There are some naysayers in the society who are trying to twist the narrative, saying that we are going back to the dark ages. No. This is a progressive step for the future, and that is what they need to understand. So, I wonder if you could allay any fears around that by just including this long-term perspective as well. That would really help the cause.
Yeah, I will remind. Or maybe if you can write me a little note, send it to me. I will give it to Chidambaram, who is our head of the manifesto committee, for his consideration.
Sure,
okay. Send it to me. You have my email. Okay.
I'll get it from someone because
I'll give you right now, sam@sampetroda.com.
Okay, brilliant. That's simple. Okay. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Hey, thank you. Without much ado, Sam, we have put a tool together called bharatkeawas.co. I think we are trying to align a lot of our efforts over the past sometime, maybe since 8 to 9 months since Rahul's disqualification. There is a strong community in Bay Area, in California, and across US. We have been doing a lot of activities to champion our cause. So I think Nishikant Deshmukh was the one who came up with the idea. Neil D'Souza was the one who helped. So I will get thanks Priyamata and Ahmed Bilal for joining us on the stage today. So I'm just going to get Neil D'Souza on the stage to talk about this quickly. So
do you want to continue this with everybody or just a closed group?
Yeah, it's a close group of people who have launched this. So I will let Neil D'Souza talk about it and show the tool quickly. Sure. Go ahead, Neil.
Hi, Neil.
Hey, good morning, sir. Just give me a second. I am about to share my screen.
While Neil is sharing, I think primarily we have got all the interactions what we did with the community, Sam, primarily, and we are trying to also promote some of the petitions like the ban EVM, why we think that the EVM should be banned, and the petitions from the Citizen Commission of Election, and also we are trying to get a bunch of blogs. Also, we are trying to get a bunch of this messaging material, which I think many of the liberal thinkers can use to debunk the Amrit Kal, so-called Amrit Kal, whether it's Amrit Kal or
this is an independent portal.
This is an independent portal by liberals, for liberals, of the liberals, Sam.
Yeah, it should not be seen as my portal.
Yeah, no, it is a community which is promoting even
Perfect.
your work.
Perfect. No problem. Thank you.
Hey,
Yeah.
so I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I
Are
can see
you?
it. Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, okay. So this is basically the website that we have built, primarily with Shan and Nishikant's help. And what we're trying to do is basically capture all the information that is needed to debunk all the propaganda that the other parties, especially the BJP and its allies, have been promoting. That's one this thing. A second second
You click the features, Neil, can show.
Sure. So here we are highlighting some of the latest ongoings events that are happening in India. So one is the farmers
Highlight.
protest. Then we have the unemployment discussion.
No
Uh,
problem.
then
Can I
we
call
have
you back? I'm on a
so these are
phone call.
basically some of the.
See,
Yeah.
these are the discussions of what we did, Sam. Many of the
Yeah.
discussions what we did, and can you go to the next one?
So you have all 13 discussions.
Yeah, all the 13 discussions. And can you go to the petitions?
Mhm.
On the petitions, we are just trying to do a petition on banning EVM. We are also trying to promote. Can you click the petition? Petition itself. So we are also trying to promote the Citizens Commission of Elections petition. People can sign up here, and also they can also sign up on the Citizen Commission's petition also. Okay. Can you come back on the previous one?
Mhm.
Yeah, and we are also having bunch of blogs. Can you go to ours? Ours is our blog feature. The third one.
Good.
The third one, Neil, ours. In fact, George Abraham has contributed to a blog, and even Sandeep Pandey was contributing to our blog. So, and can you go to that another one, the fourth one, which is Amrit Kal. Amrit Kal, we are trying to show whether it's kind of with a lot of documents what I think Congress or even a lot of the liberal community have built. We are trying to show, help people to understand how they can debunk whether it's Amrit Kal or Abad Kal. So that's what we are trying to do. And finally, join where people can mention how they can volunteer. We are doing a bunch of activities as part of the community, how they can join us. So there are multiple ways they can join, participate. There's a WhatsApp, there's a meetup, there are a bunch of activities like this Sense with Sam we do. So through which we are collaborating. Some. I want you to kind of officially help us launch this. We have been putting this for almost maybe over the last couple of weeks together. I think to help us accelerate the 2024 some of the messaging and activities. So wanted you to launch this officially for the community so that they get benefited.
Okay. Looks good.
Thank you, Sam.
You know, I have a book coming out in next 2 weeks on the idea of democracy, published by Penguin. And at some point in time, the ideas from those books are very important. That book are very important. We can look at how we can condense and promote some of those ideas. That's one. Two, thereafter, I have another book coming on unfinished agenda of Rajiv Gandhi. That book, I want to make it digital and not go through publisher, because publishers take time. They take almost 9 months to publish a book in terms of editing, printing, blah, blah, blah. I want to do a digital book, and I want to make sure that it is available free to everybody. So give some thought to it, how to do that.
Sure, sir.
Okay.
This portal can be the way through which we can do the distribution, and I think we can have a lot of people also we have interesting ways people can also give suggestions. Can you go to the suggestions feature?
Good.
People can also give the suggestion. Can you click the idea button in the join?
But is BKA a good logo? Would that people, would that, maybe we need to think about that a little bit.
Sure thing, Sam. We'll take your inputs. So
yeah, let's think about it, which sort of gets into India immediately.
Yeah.
The BKA could be anything, which is okay, but I think it'll be nice to just point it to India.
Sure thing, Sam.
Okay.
Sounds good, Sam.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Sam. Looking forward to talk about
Thanks,
more.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. I hope it was okay today.
Yeah, it was a great session, Sam.
Good.
Looking forward, Sam. Bye. Take care.
Good. What about others? Neil, what do you guys think? Nishikant?
So I agree. We are coming very close to elections. I would, prefer now, we start talking about a shadow cabinet. If we are going to win this elections, the changes that we are going to bring in, manifesto, shadow cabinet, and move towards that direction. See how we can make India.
See, the problem with shadow cabinet in India is that as soon as you put somebody's name, there are 5 enemies. That's why we don't do it. Okay, we understand the idea, but when you say, okay, Chidambaram is the finance minister, the 5 guys will be pissed off. Okay, so that's why we avoid that. Okay, but we have experts saying there are 5 potential candidates for finance minister. It could be Chidambaram, it could be Raghuram Rajan, it could be 3 other people.
So maybe an experts panel for each.
That's what we have. We have expert panel for each subject.
Sure. Unfortunately, that news is not out. So maybe if we can.
Yeah.
Sir, can you hear me?
Maybe I'll in the live stream, Sam, so that we can continue the discussion. Maybe. Yeah.
Okay.